Hi, this is Sherry. I wanted to bring this information to you that I received this morning. It started out, I had written about these vehicles, Department of Homeland Security vehicles, and this is a picture that I took last year when I was up in Kentucky. I was going from Highway 75 and I was going to Winchester, Kentucky. And you will see this vehicle came off, this truck came off one of the small roads connecting onto the two-lane I was on, which I'll show you a map in a minute. And it had this vehicle on it. I pulled aside to take pictures of this vehicle because I had not seen anything like it before. And you can see it says number 1 and then Special Response Unit. All right. And then here is one other picture of it that I got from behind as it passed me. And one thing I noticed, the trucks didn't have any kind of license plates on them. Well, that day I saw quite a few. I did not get all the pictures. I saw about 10 of these type vehicles, but they were not painted with Homeland Security. They were more of the brown looking ones like this. Now, this is not one of them, but this is another picture I took. That day was a very active day on the highway of all these military vehicles. This was July of last year. Well, I brought this article back up, and that is due to this article that has come out that the Gateway Pundit put out today, that DHS has purchased 2,700 of these mine-resistant armor-protected vehicles for the streets of the United States. Okay, these are not going over to Iraq, Afghanistan, or anything like that. These are to be here in the U.S. So I brought my article back up to the top with these pictures I took last year. All right. I also, since getting this, I researched some. I got an email this morning from someone I very much respect, I very much trust, who told me about, which I was not aware of. There are 22 states. Last year, the governors of 22 states got together, and they've got and put together what you call the State Guard / militia. And the reason why they did this is the National Guard, the federal government, has taken all the different equipment of the National Guard and taken it over to Iraq and Afghanistan. So the governors have asked the federal government for the equipment again. And the federal government says, too expensive. So the National Guards in the states can be what you call federalized, and the federal government can take them over. So these governors of 22 states have gotten together and they created the State Guard Militia. This person is part of the Tennessee State Guard Militia. And they did this so the equipment and the personnel and the people that are volunteers are governor, they are state controlled, they can never be federalized. The federal government can never come and get any of the equipment and can never take over the personnel. So the governors did all of this to protect themselves and with everything going on. Well, this person was at a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and it was one of the a training meeting for the state militia, and they said a very high-ranking official told them at the meeting that these armored vehicles were being stopped when they were coming from Kentucky into Tennessee. The state militia has stopped them, the State Guard, and has not allowed them into Tennessee. But when they stopped them, this is where it gets really bizarre. The people that were transporting them and were they had Department of Homeland Security uniforms on, but they were not uniforms of what they've seen of Homeland Security uniforms. They had eagles on the side of them. But what's craziest about them is that they were not American. They had Department of Homeland Security uniforms, but they were Eastern European, and they assumed Russian. They appeared and they spoke in the way of Russian. Now, these are people that are controlling those armored vehicles that are Russian. What are they doing as part of Homeland Security? Then the person also told me that up in Gatlinburg, there is right there at the Smoky Mountains, people are being stopped and questioned by Homeland Security, and that it is being reported, many people have reported, that they are Russian. The Homeland Security, that people that are stopping them and questioning are Russian. Now, I understand this person that's told me this is someone who tells the truth. This isn't someone to make something up just to do it. And she's part of the militia. And this was told to him by the very high-ranking official of the militia of Tennessee. Now, I want to show you, first of all, here's the map that I've had up. This is Tennessee. The road that I was going on, and I have this marked A, you'll see it in a minute, is I was leaving, I got off 75, and where I took the pictures of those vehicles, I was coming on this road here, number 627, going to Winchester, Kentucky there. All right? This vehicle, when I was driving down, I believe it was like this road here. I knew it was coming off and it was turning right. And I passed it as it was sitting to come onto the road I was on. And then that's when I was able to pull aside, was up here, and I took pictures of it. So it came off a road to the right. So I've done a little bit of research, and I found today this right here is a very interesting spot. This is the U.S., and I tried to figure out where these vehicles possibly are being remade and into Department of Homeland Security vehicles. This is the U.S. Army Chemical Materials Activity Place. It's 14,600 acres there, and they have amazing 523 tons of nerve agents. Okay, so they're a chemical weapons place. When we take a closer look at it, which is really an odd setup, you have all these lines. This is the chemical Army depot here. I do not understand. I've gotten very close into here. I do not understand what all these roads in the way of in this pattern is, because as you get up closer, they appear to be just roads. So I'm not sure what they are. What I did find, by the way, the high-ranking official did mention that there were, used the words, FEMA camps in Kentucky. So those words were used. All right. Now, this is still, and so I, of course, want to go and try to find this, and that's what part of this research of where it could be. Here is part of that chemical, 14,000 chemical acres. These are actually, there's buildings on here, and you can see there's railroad tracks that come and they stop at the end of the buildings, and you can follow the railroad tracks here. And they'll split up here because the railroad tracks then come also down to these buildings here and end right past, right there. All right, so could this, there's a lot of buildings on this place, and look how the railroad tracks come And in fact, there is a picture of a train. We'll get to it. And there's a lot of splits here, okay? But those splits keep coming. We're going to pull out a little bit. And they go to all different parts. There's that train. So you can see that there's a train or cars sitting on it right there. All right. What this building, what this area is it possibly a FEMA camp? Could this be one of the setups for FEMA camp? And also, is this maybe where that one vehicle was coming from? It's the only place I can find in that area, in that general vicinity, that makes sense for it to be coming from. All right, so those railroad tracks span out to all these different buildings and go to the different buildings and stop at each one. So this is the Army odd shape, odd diagramming here, depot that is in Kentucky, and I'm just wondering if these vehicles are being refitted to this in this area. All right, I don't know if those are underground storage. Then we have the fact that they said there was a vapor leak at one point at the Richmond, Kentucky. But my question is, regarding Gatlinburg and the Russian possible troops here that are in Homeland Security. One of the things I found last year when I was up in the mountains at Newfoundland Gap, if you're familiar with it, that's where Newfoundland Gap's at the top of the mountain where Tennessee and Kentucky, the border is right there, and you get out and there's a pretty view, and it's a great tourist spot. That's where everybody stops. It's called Newfoundland Gap. If you go there, there's the parking lot, and there's that stone wall and a walkway, the sidewalk that's below the stone wall there that you're walking, and the parking lot's above you right here. Go down, there'll be steps right in the middle, and on the stone wall and on both sides of those steps, you will see this plaque that says the Great Smoky Mountains has been designated a World Heritage Site and joins a list of protected areas around the world for the common inheritance of all mankind. All right, and it's a community of nations. And then this plaque is on the other side. There's the steps going up. That one plaque's there. This is right on the other side of it, that's saying that the Great Smoky Mountains National Park is a biosphere, and it's the UN, it's part of the UN program on man and the biosphere, and it's recognized international network. And I started looking, and you can see it's a United Nations educational place. I started looking that up, and I did a whole article about the Smoky Mountains and how our UN parks, pretty much all the national parks, are UN World Heritage and Biosphere Reserves. So they're really not under the control of the United States, they're under the control of the UN. And you will see the list, including the Statue of Liberty, and all the different natural places, including the Everglades Canyon, Grand Canyon, Mammoth Cave, Yellowstone, Yosemite, Redwoods. They're all UN biosphere places. So is that why maybe there's Russian troops that are in Gatlinburg right there, and Department of Homeland Security, and able to stop people? So I wanted to bring that out too, but I'd really love if anybody's had contact and has been stopped by Russian troops to please contact me. And we do know that Russia had the training last year in Colorado. All right, thank you. It's been Sherry.